Nicola Sturgeon has been on various media sources, other than ours, obviously, where they've been giving their softball questions. No, weren't you great? Oh, you're not, absolutely useless. You haven't done nothing for 7 years. What's your big accomplishment? Oh, baby boxes. So a woman who's basically alleging herself to be a lesbian, who hasn't had any questions, steals taxation from you, and then the state decides what they should get, like some piss poor communist country decide what people should get for the babies. Why? Why? Why would they not just reduce taxation and then the individuals can decide what they want to spend their own money on? Why is the state buying provisions that they don't need to do in a Western democracy? It's because Nippy's just a communist shill. That's why. I already told you she was a postmodernist Marxist. She's already going, no, that's racist if you don't, what was it, trans rights or something? That's racist, homophobic and misogynist and every other Islamophobic, Islamophobic, every other phobinist that she could possibly fit into her lexicon of language. And this woman's a lawyer. I would have hoped that she was more politically articulate. And this is one of the things. I don't think qualifications, I don't think even degrees in politics are necessarily going to stand you in good stead of being in here. Political theory, actual understanding of all political theory, yes, like I do, and actual policy knowledge as well. So what are you going to do with X, which is my two strengths? That's why if it's highly unlikely, but if I ever became First Minister, I'd be brilliant. I'd be absolutely brilliant. People would be going, thank God, they would call me David the Great, because I would bring in such good policy and help the Scottish people that much. They'd be going, get him back. A bit like Alex Salmond, a bit like they did with Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond he was thought so highly of, and he was brought back as well. So obviously baby Guerilla. So Moira is now going to be taking legal action against the Scottish Government for her for Alex Salmond, because the actual justice for Alex Salmond did not die when he died, or the availability of justice for Alex Salmond did not die when he died. Now Moira and her friends can actually now go back and take judicial matters into their own hands and actually go after what would have been wee nippy, useless and Baldy John's government, and take them to court on the smearing of his name and the fake sexual allegations. Now, I'd like you to bear in mind, I was in the courtroom, so I'm not just talking about this as a third party reading the newspapers. I was actually living history, and I was in the courtroom with Alex Salmond when the actual when the trials and tribulations were spoken about. Wee Nippy says she's moving to England. Well, I'm not surprised, because there's a high likelihood of her going to jail. I don't think people on multiple counts, so but we'll stick with the one about Alex just now. I'll tell you about the others at the end. So if this case that Moira is bringing forward, or the family's bringing forward, is successful, and I know for a fact because I was in listening to what was actually said about the actual individual cases, and some of them weren't sex anything. It wasn't, they weren't sexual assaults or sexual interactions. They weren't sexual anything. Some of them didn't have a sexual element in them. They could have been perceived as harassment. maybe, but they would have been wrongly targeting Salmond because Salmond was not doing anything of a sexual nature to them. There wasn't anything like grabbing your ass. I don't think touching somebody's hair, touching somebody's shoulder, giving somebody a peck is sexual anything. That means I've sexually assaulted my mum. And that's absolutely disgusting and ridiculous. So there has to be a clearer definitions of what sexual assault is, and I would say groping somebody in their genitals, ass, probably, and breast. That would be the only parts where sexual assault. You might have other types of harassment. If I've touched some woman's hair and they've said, don't touch my hair, and then you go and touch it again, then the second time would probably be harassment. If you're going to touch somebody, I usually ask anyway, do you want me to touch here? It's a bit it lacks spontaneity, but also it lacks a criminal record as well. So I always ask, do this. But if you do photography, or things, you have to move people into the exact position, or art, you have to move people into, just by moving their hand, into the exact position they were in before, so it doesn't look like they're in motion. That's just part. So that's something that you can go, surely it wouldn't be then assault. No, it wasn't assault. There were. Listen to me. I'm going to make this very, very plain and succinct. There were certain charges in the Alex Salmond trial that weren't anything. I wouldn't even accuse them of shot. Nippy wanted wee Eck out, and the way she did ascend to the power, wee Nippy had Salmond's whacked. No, that's not what happened. What happened was, you're close, but no cigar there. What happened was, Alex Salmond was on the comeback, and Nippy was actually going to potentially be taking her place, coming back for a third time and taking her place. And she was about to get stuffed. She was finished. She was already knew she was worse than useless right there from the start. And now we've got the poofy dough ball down in London. You saying, using an example too, touching someone's hair. I am saying that's. Oh, you're saying that's assault. Well, I don't. Well. Yeah, but it's not a sexual assault, is it? I wouldn't say it was a sexual assault. It could be construed as assault. So if somebody pushed me, put their hands on me, that's assault. That's assault. I was assaulted in a chip shop. Leslie Evans was involved. Yeah, Leslie Evans' husband is an MI5, is he? Well, that probably explains a lot. So he put his hands on me, and then I get charged. So that's something, and the police didn't get the CCTV from inside there. If you're at Falkirk, I'm coming to play with your hair. Okay. So, yeah, but okay, that's. I would agree with you. It's assault, but not sexual assault. And I would have said there was mischaracterizations of different things in what was actually happening, or different charges that should have been made in the courtroom. So that's a big issue of actual correct classifications of crimes and what they would actually be. But there were some that looked like, whether or not he did actually do it, don't forget, he got proved innocent of all the charges. So a majority female jury did only found one of the actual things to actually be questionable, where there was a not proven on it. There was a not proven on the actual charge, the initial charge. All the rest were thrown out. And there was 14 charges initially. 13 of them or 12 of them out of 13 were found not guilty, and only one not proven. And the 14th didn't even make it to court because she said, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying this, because it looked like they were trying to correlate the charges so that he had the maximum charges against him in the court. Well, anyway, all of that's an irrelevance now. Well, it's not an irrelevance, but it's not as relevant as Moira now taking Alex Salmond to court. for the false allegations that this has actually came to pass. And if this was orchestrated by Wee Nippy, there isn't a crime for orchestrating fake sexual allegations against an individual. Ian Livingstone helped Symphon off 17 billion COVID business relief, which is now offshore in the Cayman Islands, is it? So, so Moira is now taking them to court. Now, whether or not this court procedure is going to happen before the Scottish election, God only knows. They've also postponed Nicola Sturgeon's husbands for stealing the £600,000 of SNP money to after the Scottish election. Nicola Sturgeon had to sign off, as far as I'm aware, as the treasurer to where the money for the money for the fund was going to go to, and she's not been charged with anything. So I'm not quite sure how she's managed to skate on not being charged if she's had to sign off on where this money was actually going to. So now we've got Alex Salmond's wife Moira going to court, and then if she wins, which I would suggest that there's probably a high likelihood of her winning, the Scottish taxpayer will fund £3 million. Dorothy Bain is helping make sure that Wee Nippy comes out smelling the roses. Yeah, of course. But there's another thing, I'll tell you about the other thing in a second. If Moira gets the £3 million, I share Edinburgh, it gets the £3 million, and you're going to have to pay for it, for the orchestration, the state, listen to this, the state orchestration of fake sexual allegations against a political entity. And now if we had polygraph tests, which I've talked long and hard about, polygraph tests, the person who fails the polygraph test will then go to jail. So there's two. Keep up the good work. Thanks, mate. Thanks very much. And we'll have to go to jail. The Lord Advocate should never sit in the government. They have it should be completely neutral, yeah. But that was thanks to the Scotland Act that was done by Westminster. Same with the fact that we in the Scottish Parliament, I cannot stand up and say there's some dodgy things about Anna Sarwar's family floating all over the internet, which I'll show you later on. Part 3, Sarwar are the Sarwars a criminal family and a grooming family? Well, I've already done part 1 and part 2. If you've not seen it, definitely look at it. So part 3 I'll do tonight. Wee Nippy and Kate Forbes were MI5 moles used to bring SNP and Scottish Government down. Well, they certainly did, and that's probably that would explain why they targeted Salmond, because I don't think Simon was a mole. And that's why she hung on for so long. That's why she was able to redact the Hamilton report, which I believe is still not fully unredacted. Which, if somebody else, I don't think if you vote Labour, that's going to help get unredacted, considering Labour and the SNP are two cheeks of the same asshole. I don't know what Enos is saying to that, but they're definitely two cheeks of the same asshole, as wee Georgie Porgy Galloway would say. And so Moira is now potentially going to take them to court, £3 million settlement. But then, are the police then going to bring in criminal charges? Are the police going to bring in criminal charges against the people who orchestrated the sex show? If Nicola Sturgeon was the main orchestrator, there is not a crime in criminal law. Scotland, like England, are weak. Not one leader shows leadership. Recent years, what they can cream off the taxpayer. Exactly, that's exactly right. And there is not a crime in Scottish politics for the orchestration of fake sexual allegations, and the making fake, not just fake sexual allegations, but fake allegations against the individual. This is called wasting police time. But what it should be is a crime against the individual, where the individual or the orchestrator of these individuals, group of individuals, could have actually then been trialled for the orchestration of fake allegations and the actual fake alligators themselves. And then they go to jail for 7, 10, 20, 30 years, depending on the severity of the crime. If you're trying to put a man in jail for the rest of his life, based off of fake allegations, and you nearly saw a fake allegation outside the Labour Party conference. We know they're doing this against me about somebody calling somebody a black bitch, which I literally couldn't point her out in a lineup. And she's asking for accreditations. Like, if I was filming here, I don't need accreditations filming here. She walked off the door, came over here, said, "Have you got accreditations?" I'm like, "No." Continued to work on the phone, setting up the phone. And then she goes back to the police. Now, I believe it was the Labour Party, through the police, they got her to come over. And I didn't even know what colour her skin was. I couldn't, literally, if my life depended on it, I couldn't pick her out in the lineup. Came over to me and then went back, lied to the police. The police had then a chance to interfere with the broadcast, and so that I wouldn't be humiliating the Labour Party. I then came back the next day, and then two undercover police officers came up. I went round the back of the armadillo to get a bit of peace, and two undercover police operatives came up and started harassing me again, which was on film. I already knew we were living in a quasi-police state, but I wanted you and proof for you to see that what I was saying was correct. And now it's going from bad to worse. We've got the censorship on the internet, the Poofy Keir Starmer, the communist, has brought in, and we've now got we have to do VPNs. So I'm waiting for my VPN sponsor. We've now got what's the new bill that's coming in? There's a new bill that's coming in, and they're just because he's a communist and he wants to control what people are saying, and there'll be other bills, the digital currency bill, which is going to have major problems for central bank digital licensing of these things. That's going to be major issues. Wee G's Nippy still drawing her salary. Why is Nippy leaving the government so quickly? Exactly, I always Cam. So I missed that. So I'll see you later on. So now we've got Moira. So if Moira wins the 3 mil, right, for the fake sexual allegations, don't forget Alex Salmond's already won the legal case, and now there's going to be the £3 million. So other people like Evans is going to be called, and there's going to be a bigger thing. Obviously, Nicola Sturgeon has deleted our COVID WhatsApps. We've all seen that, and that she's now potentially going to be screwed because of what's going to come out in the civil trial against the government, with a £3 million price on the actual government's repayment. So that's going to be absolutely massive. And then what is going to happen is more and more evidence is going to come out, and the more of the evidence comes out, you're actually going to get people who may then in turn be found guilty of actual criminal procedures. So from the civil trial, it may go to criminal trials against Leslie Evans and the ilk that orchestrated this. So Alex Salmond, outside his trial, said that there's more to come out than has come out just now. So there's obviously some things that have slipped, and that people in the government, in the state, who orchestrated the fake sexual allegations through the civil trial, then may have criminal trials, and then in turn may go to jail on the back of it. And yet there is no legal framework in the judiciary for faking allegations. So say somebody faked a murder and set you up with a murder, there isn't. That would just be wasting police time. There should be specific legal entities for actually these things as crimes against the individual, not against the police. Who gives a shit if they're wasting police time? It's my time that I'm worried about. I'm the individual. The police are there to do the job, even to investigate fake allegations. But they have to be held to account. We nippy entertainment reigning clerics in Iran, well, we're not surprised, are we? We're not surprised that she's a sellout. The SNP are not a nationalist party. They're a globalist shill, not an international, I'm an internationalist, they're a globalist shill party. That's why we've got young ladies with axes and knives trying to protect their sexual integrity from inbreeding Muslim child rapists, which it says in their Quran to rape children, and non-Muslim children in particular. And the Scottish National Party have invited them in. I think the system is too slippery for the real justice to prevail. The establishment look after themselves, and one rule for them, one rule for another. Yes, that's right. That's right. So you have to get clued up. Wee Nippy was one of Klaus Schwab's young global leaders, was she? Well, I didn't know that. That's actually news, but I'm not surprised. Not surprised that she is I knew she's a globalist shill anyway. But you have to start as an individual getting clued up on who is and who is not the globalist shills, which is all five parties. The Tories have nearly taken down Tories and Labour. They're a non-entity. I've had a big dent in the SNP. They're potentially a non-entity as well. They're certainly slipping as well. Independence is not slipping. Independence is a different thing. The independence unions thing is not going to be an argument this political election. It is about going to be governing two-tier policing, social justice rather than a justice system. Social justice from the communists. And communism, and it's not from social justice. And somebody complained about me doing this with my fingers. This was 666 or something. This is me just speaking. I'm very prevalent. I'm an atheist, so I don't have any religious bents on me. Just FYI. So Kate Forrest bought a house near Digwell for £1 million on a salary of 75 grand. She's doing well for herself, isn't she? Doing well. If you don't think, see, what I'm going to do is cut your taxes. If what they do is steal your money and some bullshit cause tranny outer Congoing maraca band for £800,000. Where's that going? Where the hell's that going? They are stealing your money. It's as simple as that. So what we'll do, it was me first that told to do a Doge thing. Trump did it in America, and Farage is doing it in the councils down south, and we need a Doge in Scotland in here for the local councils. We're going to get a Doge. So let me go back. I'm getting sidetracked here. So Moira has presented this case to the judiciary, a civil case. She's going to potentially win £3 million. The civil case is going to bring up other allegations that may be criminal in their nature for the actual orchestration of these sexual allegations. Now, it would probably fit under wasting police time, could be fraud, there's a number of things, but it doesn't exactly fit what they're doing, which is the orchestration of sexual crimes. Labour, MP, Greens, Lib Lab, Tories are all pro-globalist. That's it, buddy. That's it. That's it, Glasgow Media. You're doing well, mate. You're watching. You're getting this channel, picking it all up. So, these are all globalist shill parties, and that's completely correct, especially at the top. There might be individuals who will eventually get tapped out. So, there's going to be information that will come out in the civil trial that may then be enough or bring light on the orchestration of these sexual allegations by Nippy and our Goldfinger members, cabal, to bring this on. Maybe through MI5, Nippy obviously is very friendly with all the media down in England and in London in particular, and she looks like a total plant. and especially with the lack of service she did for the Scottish people, with her being a Scottish nationalist. She's no such thing. What's your big 7-year thing you've done? Oh, baby boxes, great, aye, fucking great. So, that's fair enough. So the civil case then highlights the individual flaws in the case, overall case. I wonder who leaked the Salmond story to the press. Well, I was there. I don't know if you've not, Glasgow Media, if you've not looked at my back catalogue of things. It was certainly me, but yeah, it could be Leslie Evans. I think that's who you're talking about. Could be Leslie Evans as well, yeah. So, what will come out in the civil trial is more and more allegations against the cabal of individuals. So the cabal ran the organisation, very mafioso. The cabal ran the allegations, Nippy, probably Baldy John and Hamas Useless. And they got the civil servants. They were trolling for civil servants who would actually bring allegations against Alex Salmond. And then what happened? Then this is all. There's other people with information. Wee Nippy has shared in GlaxoSmithKline in Livingston. I missed that. So the allegations are going to come out through the civil trial, and we're going to be able to see it in the civil trial. What the people, what the information other people have got about Wee Nippy. And the gold members, and then the cabal that they got to actually get all these allegations against Alex Salmond. And it's going to be supported by the MSN, so they're supporting the Wee Nippy project and the Hamas Useless and Baldy John, because they're not real nationalists. And then you've got then these allegations are going to come out, and they could actually then fracture into specific criminal allegations on individual people, and then what that could do is fracture it again, where the individuals start turning on it and saying I was Nicola Sturgeon. So it could be a whole house of cards that are brought down. Wee Nippy said Hillary Clinton was her inspiration. That says it all, really, yeah, 100%. So the allegations, then it starts to break the criminal conspiracy, and then the people start turning saying, yeah, Nicola Sturgeon put us up to this, and then Nicola Sturgeon has to be brought back from London where she's hiding out with a lesbian girlfriend. I told you outside the Alex Salmond trial, I was correct again, that this was happening with that as well. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable how right I've been, but it's unbelievable what could actually happen here. The house of cards could be destroyed. People turning against getting a conscience and turning against the people that set up Alex Salmond to his death, maybe from overeating. I did say he was fat at the time. I said to him he needs to get on top of that, and he didn't listen. I spoke to Alex after, and he I think he kind of knew that I had been helpful to him, and I think he said that, but he didn't come on. I was wanting to do a long form broadcast with him, and he didn't come on before he died, and I think that would have been highly, highly interesting, me talking to Alex Salmond. That would have been an amazing worldwide interview had Alex come on and talk to me individually on a podcast. That would have enlightened. Can you imagine the revelations? Can you imagine me being able to ask somebody and getting the revelations before they even hit? Unbelievable. So they're now going to start going down. So they've started telling each other, oh, it was her that set me up, Leslie Evans set me up, oh, it was Nicola Sturgeon, and they all start pointing the fingers back up the chain, as happens in the most conspiracy unravelling cases. Oh, it wasn't me, it was her. Establishment Wee Nippy whacked Wee Nippy. The establishment of Wee Nippy whacked Wee Nippy. I think it was me that whacked Wee Nippy, but yeah. I don't think, well, actually, to be fair, and I'm going to be genuinely fair to who did it, I mean, I was certainly giving her digs. If I had taken her out at the Hamilton report, I would have taken full claim and responsibility for taking her down. But it wasn't, sorry, Salmond, there, and taking her down. But because she lied and redacted the Hamilton report, the evidence did not come to light, and she would have been taken. I'd have been standing there, and the Guerilla TV channel would have taken down the First Minister. Unfortunately for me, knowing that she's a wee diseased character, that didn't happen. And what did happen is, because she's a lesbian and right into the LGBT stuff, all men and women and all that crap, that she get taken down by her own ideological purity test by Peter the Plonker Smith. So the retard Peter the Plonker Smith actually took down wee Nippy. I'm certain that would have did a podcast with you. However, I think he's overeaten and never controlled his diet. Yeah, I was calling him fat deliberately so that he would actually do something about it. Do you think Salmond died of? I could have died of the poke as well. I could have died. I can't tell you how many people have died. I have one friend who had very vociferous cancer. My friend died. One of my other friends has a heart attack. It's just unbelievable how they're going down. Fortuitously for you guys, I didn't, so I'll be here for a while. So let's go back. Let me continue this logic here. So they're all going to start turning on each other. Whether or not the police are going to come in, because obviously we know that Bain has controlled opposition, and they're going to come in and try and put dampers on it at a judicial level. That again shouldn't have happened. Westminster fucked up, and that should not have actually happened, where the Scotland Act did not separate church and state. I was going to say the judiciary and legislator, and that was their main mistake. They should have separated it, and that was a Westminster problem. We should now get the powers back and now separate that just now, because it's an absolute disgrace. And the fact that they're nobbling the judiciary and also the police. Don't forget, all of the police forces have been rolled into one, so we've now got the fucking Stasi, and we've now got Police Scotland. So we've got a judiciary that's controlled by the SNP and a police that's controlled by the SNP. So whether or not you're even going to get the police to bring forward charges, even if in the courtroom they can actually bring it forward. And don't forget, the judge said at the trial that he had the opportunity to bring forward a case. He had a case that they saw. The judge, whatever, said that there's a case there. Now, I can't remember specifically if it's this case that Moira's going to bring forward, or if it's another case against something else, whether it be the Hamilton report. I don't know. I don't know precisely, but what the judge actually outlined was the case. Thanks for covering the story. Lots of Scottish media won't cover it in any great credit to you. Thanks, guys, media. Thanks. So now it's big time. If decent police officers go, wait a minute, or decent judges go, hold on a minute, there's a link to criminality out of this civil case, you're potentially going to go to jail. That person might become a protected witness and start pointing fingers at Nippy. They might say, wait a minute here, this is now not a civil case. You've screwed up. You're going to have to get charged, and this is now a criminal case under wasting police time or whatever, and you're potentially going to go to jail. Don't forget, he'd already won a case before for $500,000, the way that they actually did it internally within the Scottish Parliament, and how they gerrymandered within the Scottish Parliament. Salmond won a case for £500,000. And now he's got this opportunity for £3 million. And I've been here for 8 years covering this. 8 years, not covering this specifically, 8 years covering Scottish politics. I've got other hopefully inspired other Scottish YouTube and British, just generally, YouTubers to take up their phones. I'm just one bloke with an iPhone, and take up their phones and do what I'm doing, this citizen journalism. Well, I would say that I'm doing slightly different things than other people. I'm not just reporting on the news or reporting on the situations. I'm pretty much explaining at the highest echelons, and there's reasons behind that I've not disclosed, the highest echelons of the state, what is actually happening here. Maybe someone like Lotus Eaters probably does something similar as well. But there's not many people who are taking down First Ministers, or potentially taking down First Ministers. And Prime Ministers. I was getting that right as well. There's not many, if any, that are that way, that the commentary that you're doing is getting rid of people that are so high up the political tree. To the extent that Sarwar's not going to become First Minister. Sarwar, I don't even know if he's going to get double figures. When you see Sarwar, a criminal family, Sarwar, a grooming family tonight, this will be the sort of third instalment of Sarwar not getting into power. And that's what I think will happen as well. People will start sharing Sarwar, a criminal family, Sarwar, a grooming family. So, they'll start breaking up like a criminal conspiracy. It was Nicola Sturgeon that told me to do it. It was Les Evans through Nicola Sturgeon. Nicola Sturgeon's personal secretary started to do it, and it'll all start to fragment like a good mafiosa story. Oh yeah, it was, and so it was Alex Salmond who was going to come back into mainstream politics and beat Nicola Sturgeon. And Nicola Sturgeon was getting supported by the London media. Oh, isn't Nicola Sturgeon great? Do you think the establishment will whack wee Nippy? Well, she's certainly a threat to them in the fact that if it starts to break down in court, that she started it. And all the real Scots know that she didn't do anything for Scotland, whether you're an SNP supporter or not. She did nothing for in 8 years. What a complete waste of time. I'll be flying in day one, trust me. I'll be like, my God, this guy's going some rate. Flying, I know exactly what to do. But I mean, really, obnoxious for the individual. I don't understand how anybody after a period of time, I voted for her at the start, but I don't understand how anybody after a period of time and listened to her would have voted for her. Absolutely odorous wee postmodernist Marxists. So, could she be whacked? So if they break down, so if the accusers start to break down, they start to get charges off the civil procedure, they start to point fingers, starts to go up the tree. Leslie Evans breaks, she's out of job. The other press, the personal press secretary, or whatever it was, they're getting fingered. It all goes back to Nippy. The triangulations goes back to Nippy, and wee Nippy then gets it. Nippy's getting fingered. All right, so she set up her. She's like the Sith. She took out Alex Salmond. Come back to take her out by making fake sexual allegations. And she did that. 20, 30 years in jail for Nippy, do you think? Orchestration of multiple fake sexual allegations against a predecessor. Is that not what the Sith do without the lightsabers? Do you think Nippy will run the SNP in Swinney is just for her puppet? Nah, I don't think that's happening. Swinney's the John Major of Scottish politics. There are allegations coming to me, and they've been floating about John Swinney being a paedophile. Now, I've never commented on those because I don't know for a fact. I'm slightly more secure on the Sarwars were a drug dealing family than I am on John Swinney was a paedophile. These are allegations. Both of these are allegations that are coming to me that I've said about the Sarwars being a criminal family, but they're definitely a criminal family. But whether they're a drug dealing family, I'm not sure. That's the only one I don't really know. I would really need more information from Glasgow, and I could probably get it if the Sarwars were actually importing heroin and his brother was a cocaine dealer. Why has Humza gone all silent? He's not gone silent. I'm going to show you something later on about what he's been saying about that poor wee girl and trying to cover up the fact that Islam advocates Muslim child rape things, raping non-Muslims. And he's going, no, it's not. I'll do that when I'm up at the office. You know, when I'm up at the office, and then I'll do what will I do? I'll do the Sarwars. Really, a scumbaggery party. The fact that that many people in the Labour Party must have known about the Sarwars' criminal background and still voted for him is absolutely staggering for me. It's a real questionable party, the Labour Party, and then they've got the commie Keir Starmer, the globally shill commie, in number 10 as well. And we wonder why things are going badly. We're nearly going to the IMF because these doughballs are back in power. People don't realise that it took them to 1976, and that's when the last time these doughballs got us into the IMF, by overtaxing. Absolute bunch of retards. What an absolute bunch of fucking morons. There will be people in the Labour Party that will be going to jail. Cast down will be people in the Labour Party that will be going to jail. 100%. 100%. When a change of government comes in, there are criminals in the Labour Party that will go to jail. So, like they're pointing the fingers, Leslie Evans, wee Nippy, it was wee Nippy, they're all jumping ship in case they get like multi-decades in jail for fake sexual allegations against the great Alex Salmond. It's going right up, they're all pointing the fingers back up the tree. It's going for Leslie Evans, press secretary, all pointing the tree, all up the tree. Build back better with the IMF loan. Build back better with the IMF loan. Like, nah, it's nothing to do with it. That's just a sheer admission of failure of economic policy. That's all it is. A sheer admission of failure by that doughball Reeves, who should never have been in there. Is to economics what Fred West was to temporary lodgings. John Bolton in the US has been the first to be arrested by the FBI. I told you, I'm telling you, there will be Labour Party for the mass rapes. There'll be Labour MPs who are arrested for facilitation of war crimes. Mark my words. Mark my words. And maybe in the SNP as well. So, they're pointing the fingers up the tree. Nippy did it. I'm not taking. I'll go not Fifth Amendment. I'll go Queen's Council or whatever it is, and I'll stick Nippy in. And everybody will be sticking their fingers back up the tree, saying, "Yeah, they forced me to do it." Who forced you to do it? Oh, was it X, Y, and Z? So the wee cabal under Nippy, so they'll be our lieutenants. They'll have gone out, but eventually they'll get fingered. And they'll either have to take the derriere as the orchestrator and we Nippy skates, or they'll point the fingers at Nippy. And the whole pyramid will go down. Teflon Nippy, yeah, well, she's doing quite well just now. That's because of the control by the judiciary and the police. But if somebody else comes in and they don't feel the same way, then it could be reopened, couldn't it? The whole thing could be reopened. The Hamilton report could be redacted and the whole thing could be reopened. Everything could be looked at again to see if there was flaws in the investigation. Nippelia. And that's why she's going down to London, but she won't be able to. If a new government came in and said we want Nippy back, there won't be anything they could do. They should be coming back up to face justice. She'll have no power, and somebody else may be in power that doesn't quite see it her way. And wee Nippy may be in jail for a very, very long time. I don't think she's even in here anymore, representing her constituents. And the amount of times Humza has been talking about Gaza, you would think he was the mayor of Gaza. And nobody in here there is no devolved right of foreign diplomacy in here. So why hums are useless is speaking more about the people in Gaza than he is about the people in Pollock. He's got no legislative right. He's not even as the First Minister, he's not got any legislative right to be talking about somebody else in a foreign country. He is basically in charge of the people of Pollock, and that's what should be his prerequisite. That just shows you what a knob end he is. So the whole house of cards could come down. Everything that they think they've got away with, they might not have got away with. And it would just take certain changes. Certain changes in the rules. Certain changes in personnel to actually have to review this. And then there's big problems. They went after Salmond, they've already set the precedents. Set the precedents. And now the First Ministers are going to be liable. Blackfart is trying to make a comeback. He's a fat whale end, that guy. So, I don't think he's going to lead Scotland anywhere other than up the garden path. The SNP are shit. The SNP have got some crap politicians. I didn't realise how bad the SNP were until they've been in for the last 7 years. They certainly weren't as bad as this under Salmond. It was I would have said it was a competent, well, certainly a much more competent, probably one of the most competent governments I'd seen under Salmond. Personally, I'm not really. I'm a libertarian liberal, so I'm in a different perspective and part of the political compass than the Social Democrats have been in. Nippy was a postmodernist Marxist. SNP spent time in jail during World War II. Well, it's not because they're nationalists they're going to be in jail for. It's going to be in jail for what they've done in government. It's not some guy that's into independence is going to get put in jail. That's not that at all. So they're all pointing at each other now. So Nicola's on the top of the tree looking down. Everybody's starting to crack under the pressure from the social justice thing. The civil justice thing it might start to crack. This looks like lies, criminal procedures on the liars. The liars start to break. They don't want to go to jail for 20, 30 years. They kick back to the lieutenants, which would have been a row of lieutenants under Nippy doing that. They're all saying that it was them that put us up to this. Now we've seen an orchestration of the allegations. Now they're breaking as well, now pointing the fingers back up at Nippy. Bang! Nippy goes to jail for 30 years. On this alone. That's how it could all go down. So, do you want me to stop and I'll go into the other thing that's up just now? We'll stop and talk to you about part 2. Well, I'll do a part 2. My baby gorillas.